طيبين ناس طيبين اطلع ماشي ماشي روحنا. في هذا المكان أنا فقدت أعز أصدقائي.
I lost my best friends and a relative here. 14 of my colleagues died here. None of my close friends survived. I always see them in my dreams. I think because we were so very close. Those colleagues that survived are still undergoing medical treatment.
On the 27th of December 2008, Israel launched its war on Gaza by bombing 60 sites. The presidential compound where Captain Mejdi al-Sahar was based was one of the targets hit. To this day, the building remains in ruins, and Captain al-Sahar is still haunted by what he saw.
When I woke up from the concussion, I saw my colleagues cut up all around me. I sometimes wish I had died with them. Then I would not be alone anymore.
Captain al-Sahar still has shards of shrapnel lodged in his back. His injuries continue to affect him to this day.
I had enormous energy in the past. I used to work overtime, up to 10 hours. Now, because of the pain caused by my injuries and my mental stress, I can barely manage to work 4 hours a day.
36 police stations and 13 government buildings were bombed on the first day of the war. Israel specifically targeted law enforcement institutions, hitting police stations, training academies, and prisons. The aim was to systematically destroy the infrastructure of the Hamas government, what Israel called a terrorist infrastructure. Some of the very first casualties were Palestinian policemen and cadets at the Abbas police station in Gaza City.
Almost 250 policemen were killed on December 27th. The salvos were so quick, the bombers so many, unusually many. There were strange noises and gunfire everywhere.
When the attack came, Colonel Ali al-Nadi was at a meeting in another part of the city. It was an appointment which probably saved his life.
I hurried to my station. I was shocked by what I saw. It was incomprehensible. It was inhuman. There was widespread hysteria in those first moments. No one could comprehend the scale of this crime.
Gaza's police force is distinct from Hamas security units and fighters that launch rockets against Israel. This police force previously served the former government in Gaza, run by the Western-backed Mahmoud Abbas, the Palestinian president and leader of the Fatah movement. Colonel Nadi has his own reasons as to why the Gazan police were Israel's #1 target.
The aim was to create chaos. They wanted to create a chaotic situation which would jeopardize our internal security. But with God's help, we were able to maintain a total unprecedented security on the internal front.
Israel's 22-day war on Gaza killed over 1,300 Palestinians, including many women and children. In the crowded combat zone that Gaza became, over 5,000 Palestinians were injured. Tens of thousands became internally displaced. But they were unable to flee the bombing since Israel sealed off all entry and exit points. Civilians were not given the option of becoming refugees. There was no place to run.
The first few minutes of the war has left tremendous impact on everyone in Gaza, because suddenly you felt so vulnerable, so defenseless, so helpless, so unable to protect yourself or protect your children, and there is no escape. Suddenly you felt that the world is coming down on you.
The war devastated agriculture, electricity and water purification and sanitation plants, as well as health facilities and schools. Even Gaza's American school, a pillar of Western education in the Strip, was reduced to rubble. Israel's war on Gaza left 4,000 homes destroyed and 17,000 damaged. Gaza's industrial sector was almost completely destroyed. Prior to the war, there had been several concrete plants, a flour mill, and ice cream factories in the northern Gaza Strip. All were bombed or bulldozed. Israel's ongoing siege of Gaza prohibits construction material from entering the Strip, preventing reconstruction. Israel has insisted that its blockade of Gaza is necessary to prevent Hamas from arming itself. Human rights groups say it is collective punishment that wrongly hurts civilians. The siege has kept Gaza's economy stagnant. According to the UN, 70% of Gazans now live on less than $1 a day. A network of underground tunnels between Gaza and Egypt has become a means to bring in additional supplies. This blockade busting is a thriving trade. But some traders exploit the despair through price hiking, something Gaza's police force has been keen to combat.
A good part of our work is keeping the merchants from profiteering and hoarding. We send police units to those merchants who abuse public trust to warn them about the consequences.
There is, of course, widespread feeling of despair. 30% of the people are estimated to express their desire to leave Gaza.
Beyond the death and destruction, Israel's war on Gaza also deepened internal political divisions within Palestinian society. In 2006, the long-governing Fatah movement was voted out of office in favor of Hamas. Tensions between the two groups increased, leading to fighting in which Hamas ousted Fatah and took control of Gaza in 2007. Since then, the police force has served the Hamas government in Gaza, which remains wary of Fatah loyalists.
We kept certain groups in check. We had to make sure no one passed on information to the enemy. Our internal security services dealt with this issue. The worst thing during a time of war is to be stabbed in the back by one of your own people. It was our greatest fear. Treason is the most dangerous enemy.
Earlier this year, Human Rights Watch accused Hamas of killing more than 30 members of rival political factions. The victims were suspected of collaborating with Israel.
أهلا كيفك؟
Iyad Siraj, Gaza's foremost expert on mental health, was chosen by both Hamas and Fatah to chair the political committee entrusted with reconciling the two factions.
Elements within Fatah and others express some kind of joy. Not just they thought that this is the day in which they will be free after waiting for so long. Israel is coming to destroy Hamas and they will be back in power again. And this has resulted in a harsh and sometimes brutal reaction by Hamas police by shooting these people if they do not stay at home and be confined. It is not just political. It is definitely tribal kind of mentality, and it is definitely the effects of the ongoing occupation and the brutality of the Israelis against the Palestinians. Now, the next generation will have a different kind of psychology. And so you have a kind of cycle that goes from one generation to the other, bringing new generations that are more defiant, more violent, as long as the issue of, I think, the human dignity is not respected.